It's the Josh and Josh Talk Wrestling Podcast. My name is Josh, and with me as always, he respects you, Booker Man. Josh, how you doing?
Hey, what up, peeps? What's going on?
Josh and Josh, hey, we celebrated 1 year of doing this podcast.
That's right.
Longtime listeners will know that the first videos went up in January, but we actually recorded those sessions in late September. September 27th, I believe, 2018 was when we first started this show. So we are celebrating a little bit over a year now of doing this podcast.
We've come a long way, and a lot of it's to thanks to our subscribers. The advice they've given us, the feedback they've given us, the ideas, the topics. And you've hit us up in the hotbox, Josh and Josh Talk Wrestling, gmail.com. Shameless plug. So it's been a cool ride. I've really enjoyed the collaboration with our subscribers, and now everything's cool. So it's awesome. 1 year. It's 1 year under the belt.
1 year. It's been a great time. Yes, thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to you, Mr. Josh.
And most importantly, thank you to Cain Velasquez. So
we couldn't have done it without him.
Without Cain Velasquez.
He's that guy with the tattoos, right? That's why he's famous?
That's right.
But hey, Josh, here. I actually have a surprise for you. Live on the air. No one knows about this. Josh, you don't know about this.
Oh, my gosh.
Josh, the listeners out there might think this is always a well-oiled machine, but, sometimes I'm a real pain in the ass to work with. But, Mr. Josh, you've stuck with me. You've dealt with me. So I actually have a gift for you.
What?
As a celebration of a year of doing this show with you.
Holy moly, man.
Here we go. I present to you... commemorative Josh and Josh Talk Wrestling thumbnail plaque. You can hang this up.
Oh, my gosh.
And, you guys can't see us. We're going to put a photo of what I'm giving Josh up on the Instagram. So check us out on Instagram. Josh Talk Wrestling on Instagram. So I went ahead and I picked 12 of our better thumbnails and just framed them up. And we can always look back on the first year of Josh and Josh Talk Wrestling. Here you go, boss.
Thanks,
I hope you can maybe put that up in your man cave or something.
No, I appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, boss.
Thank you. Holy moly. Yeah, Josh, and I wish I had a thing for you as well, too, man.
Oh, no worries, buddy.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you another year. All right, I'll give you another year. No, thanks, man. I appreciate it. That's a really cool gift. So,
I'm glad you like it, boss.
And thank you. I mean, I think definitely it's been fun working with you for the past year, and I look forward to for another year and beyond that. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I don't even know where to go after that. That was awesome. Thank you so much. For that.
You're welcome, buddy. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But most importantly, I want to talk about the finish to Hell in a Cell. This is a lot of people are saying it's the greatest finish ever in a Hell in a Cell match. Is that a correct understanding?
I think the quote was greatest finish to Hell in a Cell match ever, Vince McMahon.
It was a rough one. I guess they had a couple ideas, and it was supposed to be along the lines of, it's gonna be referee stoppage, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's like last year. With the Hell in a Cell match. Again, with Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman last year, that ended in a no contest. This one officially was no stoppage. I think, if anything, they should have discontinued with maybe Bray Wyatt just lost via, as far as TKO
or something.
Technical knockout, something like that. But I was actually pretty shocked. I was actually fine with the story of it. I liked the match itself.
The match was great.
I thought it told a good story.
Yeah.
I just thought it was the finish and I guess it was Vince's idea the entire time to do a stoppage. But to me, it's like Hell in a Cell is meant to sort of kind of be an end-all be-all, I guess, for feuds. Not to say it doesn't have to be. It could be something that maybe pushes a feud forward, like in this one, and we've seen in years past. But to me, it's like there should be a winner in a Hell in a Cell match. And that was your main event. And if, you know what? They should have led the show with it.
Yeah.
They should have led the show with it and had Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, which was actually a good Hell in a Cell finish. Yes. They should have had that, be the main event of the night.
Exactly. It was such a joke. Like, how terrible is it when you have two ideas and both of them suck? That both of them basically result in the same thing. And what really gets me, it doesn't make any friggin' sense. The Fiend pulls out his comically large mallet. That's no problem, right? But then Seth Rollins grabs a traditional sized Triple H style sledgehammer. Oh no, that's too much now.
Yeah.
Somehow. And that's of course just on top of the fact that you don't have a ref DQing or just ending the match. Like you said, it should be some kind of TKO. I think the problem there is they're afraid they don't want to make anybody look weak for even a minute. This whole 50-50 booking thing, and they can't have any clear winner.
Well, they do it wrong because you have to let people not look good for a little bit. and then you bring him back and you put him over, and it's how you keep this whole thing rolling.
Well, that's the thing. That's what, like if somebody loses the match, that's going to drive them to want to, get the belt back or just get revenge or, get back on top. Yeah, it's something like, you got to have somebody be a loser for like a week or something, and then they can regain face. Like if you've already built up these guys strong enough and they're already over with the crowd, you're not going to lose them over one little match. You could still look good in defeat too.
Right.
Like, I mean, if the Fiend had been beaten, that would have been a really good ending, like a definitive ending, because he took down all these legends. He attacked beloved legends, and he's been toying with Seth Rollins. That would have been a nice thing, and the Fiend wouldn't have suffered for it. It would have just built on his character.
Well, they, what they could have done is actually done nothing. It kept the whole thing to say, the whole match where he's like no selling, nothing was happening, and then at some point Seth Rollins wins. And they could have made it a storyline where Bray Wyatt's like, I wanted you to feel that. I wanted you to pin me. You didn't beat me.
Right.
This war isn't over. And they could prolong it that way. I mean, it would make sense because he sold like all his finishing moves.
Yeah.
Right. How many false finishes we had, I don't know. But to me, it was like it would have just made sense to end in a TKO or like to have Seth Rollins actually get a win. But to me, again, it's going along the lines of at a pay-per-view, there needs to be a definitive winner. If the heel cheats, whatever, fine. There has to be a pinfall or submission. I'm tired of seeing these, again, SummerSlam.
Yeah.
There was, what was it, a DQ? A count out?
I think so,
It was a count out, right? It was a double count out. And again, that's the second largest pay-per-view of the year. It bothers me a lot that WWE does that. And then here at Hell in a Cell, where the whole idea is for someone to just inch by, squeeze out. Yeah. Both wrestlers will not be the same after this match, but the one that gets just the inch quicker, the inch, as far as over that the other one, that's the one that's going to go over. In this match, it's like no one wins. It's just sort of this garbage finish. And again, it's like you could have had a definitive winner and, again, like extend the storyline out a bit more. But yeah, I don't know. Again, it's a situation that bothered me. I don't know why they think it's okay to do that, especially at a pay-per-view. Again, I expect DQs. I expect countouts at your Monday nights, now your Wednesday nights, and your Friday nights.
Yeah.
But on a pay-per-view, there's got to be a definitive winner. If the heel cheated, fine. If there's a tainted victory, well, make it a tainted victory. But there's got to be something, a pinfall or a submission. Again, I thought the match itself, it was weird. I don't think they actually needed it to be red. I know that they sort of, from what I understand from reports, was that they wanted this type of like horror film type, as far as theme. I don't think they needed the red lights, and I think they lost a good moment when Seth Rollins broke down. I think if the lights were up in normal mood, I think we'd have actually gotten a really good moment from Seth Rollins when he broke down and essentially at that point was going to just destroy and kill Bray Wyatt is sort of what they were pushing in the Hell in a Cell.
I thought the red was fine.
Did you? I thought it was overkill. I just didn't think it was needed.
I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I mean, if it wasn't there, I wouldn't have complained, of course. I mean, it's just one of those additive things.
Well, it bothered me when they did with Sin Cara. Like, for a while there, when Sin Cara would wrestle, it would all be blue. And I'm like, this just seems weird. Like, it's one thing to have an entrance that you own the arena during your entrance, but throughout a match?
Yeah.
What if you lose? It's like, it's just kind of weird.
Exactly.
And it was also, it's like, I don't know. It was, I got it because at the time, Mystico came from AAA and it was a bigger deal before Hunico became Sin Cara. But still, it was weird to have the whole lighting just during the match itself. But
the whole time, that is strange.
It was almost like they should have had a House of Horrors match instead,
Like, there you go.
something like that.
Yeah.
But no, I was kind of bummed. I was looking forward to it was a good match. It was just, again, a finish was kind of not too great. But so yeah, we got Monday Night Raw.
Yes.
It's officially kicked off. What are your thoughts? Well, let's just get right to it. The draft. The draft's coming up. What are your thoughts, man?
Like I've already talked about how I really don't care about the brand separation. It's meaningless.
I think this will mean something though.
Well, I mean, I think there's a few reasons for that. I mean, you've of course got the Fox deal going. Now that SmackDown's essentially becoming the A show,
right?
And Raw seems to be becoming the B show. It's
but how does
very
USA feel about that?
Right. Like, well, that's the thing. Like, they kept mentioning on the commentary on Raw, like they kept mentioning USA Network and USA Network executives are really liking this, and USA, we're on USA and Fox, like, so it sounds like they've almost got it a little bit of pushback. It sounds like maybe, and they're like, hey, what about us? That's the thing. I can't imagine USA Network's like thrilled about this. That like I said, they're using 30% of Raw to promote Fox. It's like I understand it's it's their product on Fox, but still, it's like.
Well, you would have thought they thought about that because I mean, at some point they must have been like Fox beat them out in the bid deal. Fox wanted to offer more. It was more of a lucrative deal.
Sure.
Because I guarantee if USA offered twice as much, they would still be on USA.
Yeah, probably.
WWE is financially driven. It is for profit, so that's what they would do. But
unless they see a greater goal with Fox having a wider reach, possibly.
Right,
I mean, that might just be a bonus thing at this point.
Well, okay.
They seem more about the immediate cash. You know what I mean?
Well, and again, it's one of those things where WWE is it's like Google. It just gets its tentacles in every little crevice it can. And honestly, a company probably should from a business standpoint. That's how you keep expanding your exposure. So yeah, the draft's going on. What do you think? What do you think the big changes we might see in the draft?
Well, I think we should address that there's some rumors, some strong rumors, it seems, about Edge possibly actually coming back and being in the WWE draft. This might just be dirt sheet inflation, but hey, you got to talk about it. You got to think about it. You got to imagine, because, I mean, after what happened with Daniel Bryan, I'm sure that Edge was like, hey, in the back of his mind, you know that his gears are turning. He says, hey, what about me too? Maybe. They said there was no hope for Danny B. Maybe there's some hope for Adam C. That would be something if we could see that.
I think he was thinking about that the day he retired, day after WrestleMania. So I think
sure.
I don't think it was Daniel Bryan necessarily, but yeah, I mean, to your point though, he definitely has been thinking about that for a while. But yeah, it's that would be cool. That would be really awesome to see. It would be one of those. I would assume he'd come back as a part-time.
I could see a Crown Jewel appearance for like $4 million or something, you know?
That's the thing with Crown Jewel. It's like this non-canon WrestleMania.
Yeah.
They have these big things happen at Crown Jewel, and it's just kind of amazing. It's just like these matches are putting together, and you don't want to support, or as far as those shows in particular, at least a lot, I would say, well, I'm sort of on the fence about it. Like, I do want to support the wrestlers.
Right.
But then I understand sort of the political
don't want to support the Saudi
like,
Arabian government.
That's where it comes. Yeah. It's like, it's sort of kind of stuck. But then they have these big matches, and it's like, I mean, they had Goldberg versus Undertaker. Undertaker's my favorite wrestler of all time. Sure. And so I didn't watch Crown Jewel, to be honest, but I did actually check out the match, that match in particular after. So, there is that. So it's kind of,
Well, I mean, it's not like you're giving them money. Right. I feel like if you're giving them money directly, I mean, yeah, we pay for the network.
Right.
But, we're not buying that pay-per-view. We're not buying the shirt. We're not, getting excited for it. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a little different. You could still enjoy the art without putting your seal of approval on it. You know what I'm saying?
And that's one of the things, though, just to kind of throw it right out there, where I think WWE will always be a flag bearer.
Sure.
And where they can do that. They can have garbage... Well, in some of people's opinions, garbage finishes.
Yeah.
At a pay-per-view, people will still tune in Monday Night Raw, Wednesday night in NXT.
Well, they got us hooked, man.
Friday night, as far as SmackDown, it's one of those things we're so invested in it. We're invested in it at a generational level.
I mean, this is a show that hasn't stopped for 20-something years. Right.
Well, I mean, it dates back, as far as decades.
Oh, sure.
And generations before. And that's the whole thing. It's like they tie these storylines all together. And so it's like this soap opera, almost like Guiding Light, that's just been going on for like 100 years.
Yeah.
And the history.
And it pays off when they reference something from 2002 and you're like,
Exactly.
It's so great. Yeah.
So it's one of those situations where I think WWE will always be a flag bearer. They'll always have a way for people to tune back in. They're going to generate curiosity, awareness of the product. They'll always win in that regard.
Yeah.
Now, AEW, they have beaten NXT the past 2 weeks.
That's true.
So it remains to be seen what AEW is going to eventually do. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. It's like WWE, they've got the infrastructure. They've got Monday Night Raw, which you can call it the quote unquote B show, but I don't think USA is going to like that. I think they're going to want there as far as, some good, they're going to want to see some ratings as well.
They're going to, they're going to want the same quality they've always had.
Right. And I think this is where the draft actually means something is they're on 2 different networks and they've wanted to make, WWE's wanted to make this draft a big deal.
Yeah.
Having Edge as like SmackDown's #1 pick.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Bada bing.
But I don't know. You almost feel like they're going to start with a bang. They're going to have Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins started off tonight. And my assumption is whoever wins would get drafted to the other show right
Makes
away.
Sense.
They want to start off with a bang, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I've always been a huge fan of the draft personally. I know there's been some duds in the past, but I've enjoyed it when they've had sort of 2 separate brands. It does add some more weight and sort of rounds out the federation. And also it does kind of, when they have this draft situation, you're able to mix people up. Again, it's interesting. It's something you haven't seen before, although it's like Taco Bell. You did see it probably 2 years ago at a separate draft.
Yeah.
But again, it keeps people fresh and rotated. And then also when you're traveling and whatnot, it's good to know the same 20 people that you will be working with.
That's
as
true.
Opposed to it could be any 40 people.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I got you there.
There's that. So,
and I do admit it has a little more weight this time around because, of course, it's on a different network and it's spaced out. Like the thing about, is Monday and Tuesday. it might as well be the same night, basically, when you really think about it in the grand scheme of things. But this separation Monday to Friday, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see too, because they usually have like supplemental drafts where it's like all like quote unquote low card, mid card will be as far as shuffled in. So I'd like to see as many of these possible. But yeah, I expect some big things from this. It'll be interesting to see what they're going to go with it. I mean, I would have to believe that Brock Lesnar will stay on SmackDown. Roman Reigns, what do you think? I could see Daniel Bryan going to USA and being the big guy over there. That's why as the face turn as face Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Which I'm bummed at. I think people are excited to get the yes moving back, but me personally, I liked heel Daniel Bryan. The old Daniel
I think he could still keep his new attitude and still be a face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just a volatile little guy who's all about Earth.
Yeah.
And I think people could get behind that still.
Yeah, I think if he does it in a way, it's like, it's not judgmental. It's like, here's what we got to do,
Right.
like, we love you and I love you guys, blah, blah, blah. And yes, Earth, that type of thing. So yeah, it could be an interesting thing, but I don't know. I really like the new Daniel Bryan a lot, but
yeah,
I mean, here's the thing. It's a good way to have Daniel Bryan run a show, which I think he's shown in the past he could do.
He could totally be that guy.
So he could be the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
he could be the Raw guy.
Yeah, I could see that, and I think Reigns would stay on SmackDown.
I feel like Rollins would be. That's the thing is like I feel like Rollins might go to SmackDown. I mean, if they're going to make the SmackDown be like the A show, like you're going to need some serious weight.
So then, if they're doing that, then the Fiend's probably got to be on SmackDown at least for a little while.
Well, I don't know. Paul Heyman, from what I understand, Paul Heyman's been fighting for the Fiend.
I see,
and among others. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. So I mean, here's the thing: they throw out so much crap. What I just said there could be a rumor Paul Heyman started. Who knows, So, but what I hope they do is that, it sounds like this is because it is network separated, that hopefully they do stick with it. They actually do keep it two separate brands.
Right.
Because I think when they do that, then it forces them to make the right decision and the best decision that they can at this point. Because when you had the wild card rule, it's like, well, why even have the draft?
Told you they would just slap whoever, wherever, whenever.
Right. And then at some point, it was just like, it was like, it used to be, it was 3, then it was 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just like, anyone can do whatever they want. You're from 205, you're from NXT UK, just show up, do whatever you want. It's too much. It didn't mean as much then.
Right.
They'd be like, oh my gosh, he's from 205. It's like, really? I thought he was on Raw. He's been on Raw for the past 6 months.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing. Like that crossover type thing can have some appeal. But I think if you just relegate it to the 24/7 title, that kind of thing, because it's fun seeing surprise guests pop up. But I feel if you just do it with the 24/7 title, it's not interfering with anything.
Well, but this is what I've referred to before, where they should treat the titles like they're free agents.
Pass, yeah.
And so the 24/7 title, I believe, will be shared between both shows. My assumption would be. So really, it's not like you'll see SmackDown people on Raw. You'll see just R-Truth on Raw and SmackDown every week.
Oh, I see.
That's how I would assume they'd go with that. But they should do that with all champions. Personally, and that would give an opportunity to merge the Universal and World title and of course the women's championships. And because when you have two champions, it's basically like, well, we don't have to get it right. We always have a backup type situation. And the title doesn't mean as much when you have one single champion. It means the title means so much more. So again, I think it'd be cool if they did that, but. Of course, we have two different networks. I'm sure they want their world champions, respectively. And also, the other thing, too, is they have a big enough roster. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to have that structure.
That's a good point, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you have one champion. Yeah, that's a lot of other people that aren't going to be in the title picture, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that. What do you think? AEW. You've seen it a couple weeks now. What do you think?
Dynamite. It's great. It really is. And it's... So, I watched episode 2 of Dynamite, right? Mm-hmm. And you had the Young Bucks versus Private Party.
Do you think that should have started the show off, by the way?
I thought it was great. I thought it started the show off with a bang. It shows a dedication to tag team wrestling. Uh-huh. Like an actual giving a shit, not just here's a bunch of people thrown in to promote everybody. It's just such a stark contrast to WWE, whereas half the time it'll start with depending on what era you're watching, The Authority giving a 20-minute thing, or Baron Corbin giving a 20-minute thing, or Shane McMahon giving a 20-minute thing. No, they start the action right away. Any recapping that needed to be done, at least for most of the show, was just done with the announcers simply mentioning it. It's like, it was last week, Excalibur, blah, 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 this happened, and you're just like, okay, good, I'm caught up, because I'm a fucking adult. Whereas you tune into Raw, and it's like, remember this, remember last week, and, it's heavily produced and edited, and the music's dramatic. And I'm not saying I dislike that necessarily, but it's such a stark contrast from what AEW is doing versus WWE. It's just so, here's the action, and the story is told through the match. There's very few promos, just what's necessary. You know what I mean? It's lean, and it's fast, and it's feisty. Oh, it's so good. And that's the thing. they're offering us a product that I feel is different enough from WWE's product for them to both coexist peacefully while still technically being competitors. Even NXT, it's not AEW, just the way they do things is so different, and things are really shaping up. I like how we're starting to get like a faction led by Jericho.
Inner Circle.
The Inner Circle. It's really shaping up to be something really good. And it kind of reminds me of Sega versus Nintendo back in the 80s. Now, ignore the fact that eventually Sega went under as a console manufacturer and Nintendo basically won the console wars. But during the 80s, you had Nintendo, which was the PG, family-friendly, kiddie-focused, right? And then you had Sega, which was marketed slightly edgier, slightly older demographic, more aggressive games, at least the marketing, right? And they were able to coexist because of that, because they were filling a similar space, but not the exact same space. There's that Venn diagram where there's that overlap, but you have just enough difference. So, and I think that's going to help them. I mean, AEW's TV-14. WWE, everything's TV PG, and I think that's what's gonna keep them going. So, like last time we recorded, you had mentioned that you thought they might be a flash in the pan, or they'll be put on the shelf at some point. But I disagree. I feel like they can totally do this because they're scooping up those other fans that feel disenfranchised by the C Nation or King Corbin. And honestly, like if AEW keeps this up and WWE keeps up their nonsense, I could easily see myself like really like having to really convince myself to tune into Raw, or only tune in when I know something good's going to happen or something big, because I love it. I love it. I mean, these 2 episodes have been fantastic.
Well, and to clarify, I want AEW to be successful. Sure. Because the more federations that are successful, the better wrestling's going to be. By the way, did you check out the NWA Power Hour?
No.
It was awesome. Check it out. So Billy Corgan has ownership in NWA now. And just go to YouTube. It's NWA is basically revamped. It's the same old type of old school, but it's sort of, as Corey Graves mentioned, it's like old school but cool. So it's old school, but it's sort of updated with a few little things. But it's that kind of studio type of style wrestling. But really awesome. But no, I want AEW to succeed. There's a couple things that I feel like it's got a few opportunities it should take. It's a few things it's got to tweak. I mean, for example, it needs something to just as far as get it around that chevron alignment on the road to just really get even more noticed. And I think they missed a golden opportunity when they didn't sign CM Punk as like a general manager role. I think that would have been enough to say, hey, I'm not wrestling yet, but I'm still participating with AEW, Right. I think they should have locked that down, because that would have generated awareness. You have to get big moves like that to actually compete with WWE. The reason why I say that is look at WCW. They had roots going back to, 1905. And WCW was a huge organization at one point and all that. So, as far as it knocked around WWE a little bit, but eventually WWE won. So it's got to be a serious deal. And every competition before has been just sort of like a number 2, number 3 to WWE, and hasn't been actual competition. Now, I think AEW is in a position where they can be. I just think they've got to tweak a couple things, and I think they need to spend more time with the wrestlers. So we got Cody Rhodes and Jericho coming up, right, in a couple months I guess next month. To me, it seems weird that they're having like Darby Allin versus Jimmy Havoc for a number 1 contendership when we already have someone else as far as like going to fight for the title at that point. So it's like they should spend more time with Jericho and Cody in that regard, and then to have like Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc wrestle, it was a good match, by the way.
Sure.
It was a fun match, but just to me it was like creative got together and like, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and spin this wheel, and it looks like what we ended on tonight was we're gonna have the 2 scariest looking guys in the locker room are gonna get a title shot.
Yeah,
it just didn't make any sense for me to throw those 2 guys without like some type of tournament, some type of like battle royal to determine number 1 contender. But even then, you've got Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho. All eyes should be on Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho, not this other match where, unfortunately, Darby Allin's not going to go over Y2J next week.
No.
He's not going to. I'm sorry, Jericho, I should say. Yeah. He's not going to go over. It's going to be a good match, I think, but he's not going to go over. And to me, as a wrestling fan, if I know they're not going to go over, I'm not going to tune in.
Right. Well, that's fair. This is especially coming on the heels of what they said of like wins and losses are going to matter, which to me implies like beyond just the actual numbers, their decisions are going to make sense of who gets title shots and who gets picked when. So that's a little bit of a rocky start. I hadn't actually thought about that. That's a good point.
But again, like having CM Punk as a general manager role, that'd have been awesome. Something else that kind of bothers me, it's sort of been, I don't know, kind of the elephant in the room with AEW, at least to me, was Kylie Ray's departure. Now, Kylie Ray, she was an organic babyface, someone you could build the company around.
She was their Bailey,
Well, yeah, and she and even to her
Connect
own
with the younger.
Exactly. Well, to everyone. That's the thing. Is that she's able to connect with everyone in the audience. She's also a badass in the ring, so it's the perfect mold of a wrestler you want. But when she left, and I'm not. It's her personal business and all that, but she had left for undisclosed medical reasons. And as far as it was very amicable, as I understand from Tony Khan, she left, and it was one of those. Well, maybe she just. People thought she'd retired. She'd, I think, got rid of one of her social medias or something at something was going on. But anyway, she got rid of her social medias and sort of just kind of fell off the face of the earth. Didn't do any wrestling or anything. She's recently, the past couple, or at least a month, has been wrestling with Freelance Wrestling here back in Chicago. So she's been doing some independent stuff again. Okay. So to me, I thought that was interesting though. And again, I know I'm not going to get into some personal part of it. I'm sure she made some decisions she had to. But to me, it was interesting that she left for undisclosed medical reasons and then went to the independent circuit to wrestle. So to me, it's like, did she see some dirt under the carpet or something? Was there something going on in AEW? So that it was weird to me. Like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime, and she made her decision. And she could have, if it was just something she needed a break, she could have gotten a break and came back. But she went back to freelance wrestling, as wrestling in the independent circuit. She didn't go back to AEW. So why is she not going back to AEW? Something happened with AEW.
Strange, yeah.
Right. So that's just, again, I don't know. I don't know. I can't speculate any further. I'm sure if she decides to, she'll certainly, as far as have that interview with, whatever, and explain sort of a tell-all situation. But in the meantime, it's none of my business. But it's something that as a podcaster, I have observed that she did leave AEW. And if she just needed time off, they would have given her time off. But she didn't want to go back to AEW. She went back to the independent circuit.
Well, how long was the break between AEW and going back to freelance?
Like a month or two.
Really? Okay.
It wasn't too long. It wasn't too long. It was so.
Okay. Yeah, that's suspicious.
Yeah. So again, it's kind of an interesting thing. But I don't know. Again, it's just something that sort of I thought was interesting to point out. But so there's those types of things I think that it kind of make me wonder about AEW. Every other competition has been something that's sort of been on the shelf, a toy that WWE's played with, and that they've either bought it or just sort of let it dangle there. If AEW keeps being fresh, they keep doing things as far as getting people excited, generating awareness. There's only 2 weeks into it, but they are 2-0 against NXT. They definitely have a shot now.
Just look at the crowd in the audience.
Right.
They are invested. They are focused. They are invested.
They're part of a movement. They feel like they're part of a movement.
They're really connecting with people, which is more than I can say for most episodes of Raw. You get the Richie Riches that are always in the front row.
Right.
Green shirt guy who looks like Pete Steele. Like people like that.
He's a cool guy though. From what I understand.
I don't have anything against those guys. I'm not trying to diss them, but you always see those people and they're just like, yeah, I'm here every week. So, but to his credit, he was actually at Dynamite.
There you go. Yeah,
episode 1. I don't know about episode 2.
Well, and I don't know how he got from what I understand, he does a lot of charity. He inherited a lot. He does a lot of charity and stuff.
Okay.
But apparently he knows I think someone within WWE, like a cameraman or something, and so he's able to get first on the as far as the tickets. That's how he's always able to get that spot. But
nice.
But hey, that's neither here nor there. It's sort of the rumor I've heard a couple of different places. But
okay, but yeah, the crowd is it's a stark contrast to what you see on Raw at AEW, and I think that says a lot, and I think that shows that there is a market for quote real wrestling.
Can they maintain that? That's the whole thing. Can they?
That's
maintain
the question. That's the question, right? Can they keep the momentum going? That's the thing. If you get the same guys, put it on crazy matches every single week. It's one thing to do it every few months at a pay-per-view and an all-in and an all-out.
Well, you won't do that though because it's exclusivity. You're gonna have. That's the thing. That's another thing where I think AEW's got running against them is they don't have necessarily exclusive contracts.
Yeah.
With some they do, some they don't. So it's like when Pac wrestles, I just know he's always going to win.
That's a negative, but there's also a positive there, which means that people can just kind of pop in.
Yeah.
Be an exciting pop. They're not locked down, but at the same time,
you might see. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But at the same time, they're not locked down. So it's who knows? James Storm might pop up and then just go away, like he did with NXT that 1 week.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, to your point, you're talking about the crossovers between Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, it's kind of fun, but it's great when you get to see Nick Aldis as your NWA champion show up at AEW. Right. That's kind of cool. Right. And you get to kind of see that. You don't get to see that in WWE. It's only WWE owned type things happening. So enjoyed AEW the past couple weeks. It's just a couple things I wonder about it. I really do wonder, like, you know, are there some other things going on? But again, all signs point to fans are enjoying themselves. It seems like they've been putting on good shows. They've been, you know, as far as making good money, generating a good awareness. It was like TNT's like #1 debut in the past 5 years.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they've had some good things going for it.
Right.
So I think it's great. I mean, they have the infrastructure to do well.
Good infrastructure. They got the good money. They got the right people behind it. People that at least people in the wrestling world are going to know. Like, your grandma's not going to know who Cody Rhodes is, but any wrestling fan is.
Right.
Cody Rhodes and you know, Jericho's involved. Kenny Omega. You got the right people behind it. The production is really good.
Well, that's actually to your point. That's what they have to connect with is Mr. and Mrs. Walmart and their kids.
Well,
that's what they have to get.
That's the thing. I mean, do they need to do that to compete with WWE? I feel like WWE is going to get the Walmart crowd, and
it comes down to cash.
I mean, I think they could still exist, like as a close second. I don't necessarily think that in order to be successful, you have to crush WWE, despite what Vince might say about his competition.
But you have to innovate.
But you can innovate. You can still, because like I said, they're catering to a slightly different wrestling crowd, and I think that, you know, WWE will take that casual Walmart crowd, and AEW will scoop up everybody else, like the ROH people, the New Japan people, the freelance wrestling people, people like you and me who really hunger for like really exciting, fast-paced action that you just don't see on WWE. So I don't think they have to beat WWE necessarily. They could just be the close second as the alternate brand. Coke and Pepsi, you know, they're going to be around forever. Nobody's going to ever beat the other.
And to your point, that type of wrestling you just mentioned, I see that on NXT.
You do, but I still argue that it's still a little different. I don't know, something about just the way things are packaged and everything. Like NXT still has that high gloss of WWE in terms of production. I mean, obviously the in-ring action's better, the promos are better, things are better. It's just a better product. But AEW is even freer. It's even looser.
Right.
Like, because, you know, Triple H, you know, he took a lot from Vince still. I mean, he's a better Vince, I'd argue, but he's still from that Vince blueprint to a degree.
I don't think it's a bad way to make TV, to have things nice, neat, and conduct and glossy and all that. But you're right. I think what you want to sort of see is like a little bit of unpredictability. Like, I watch Raw, I watch SmackDown, and I hate to say this, I knew that was going to happen to Kofi Kingston. I didn't think it'd be 7 seconds, but I knew it'd be a squash match.
Yeah.
I knew Brock Lesnar was going to win.
That's for sure.
I didn't want to admit it. I knew he was going to win. The whole Cain Velasquez, that was a bit surprising.
Yeah.
And I, you know, do you want to explain who Cain Velasquez is to the WWE universe? Because they sure as hell didn't know.
I had to look it up myself, but apparently he was an MMA guy. Well, I'm not an MMA
Well, and that's,
follower,
I guess, okay. I guess in your defense, because I do follow sports in general, as you know, and I UFC, I do, and as far as MMA, I do follow. So I was like, oh, interesting, Cain Velasquez, and he was doing stuff with AAA and all that, and, you know, he was in talks with AEW as well, but I'm guessing just WWE just blank checked him and said, hey, Crown Jewel, we want you and Lesnar, which is interesting. But yeah, it was just like, I don't know what your thoughts were, but when he came out, I was like, I knew he was right away. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the dude who beat Brock Lesnar. Okay, got it. In UFC. But I was like, he doesn't seem like he's very well toned right now. And he came out with like the knee brace, which is fine, but like he didn't, like, to me, I'm like, I would have been like, who is this guy? Security, who is this guy? It's almost like he was like eating at like the local IHOP, and then like Rey Mysterio was like, hey man, you got a show tonight. And he's like, yeah, it's Shotgun Saturday night. He's like, no, it's Friday Night SmackDown. You're wrestling tonight. And he went right from the IHOP and like just showed up at the arena. Because like I'm telling you, he wasn't very well toned. And to me at first, I was like, oh yeah, Cain Velasquez, but to me it did not seem like the guy that beat Brock Lesnar, or nor should have been the guy that was beating Brock Lesnar in the ring on Friday Night SmackDown.
Yeah, now that
especially after Kofi Kingston.
Yeah. Now that's the thing. As somebody who wasn't familiar with the guy, I had a feeling he was an MMA guy, and the way the announcers talked, I could conjure that they had a history, him and Lesnar. So I knew that. But yeah, looking at the guy, he did not look like someone who would menace Lesnar. Like Lesnar's reaction of like he's seen a ghost or something, it didn't work. Looking at the guy actually there, like.
Right.
Not knowing his history, not knowing anything about Cain Velasquez, just the optics of it just didn't work. So I'm with you on that.
Right. It was just weird too. And then of course after it was just the tears were still drying after the Kofi Kingston thing.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going to happen. It was crap. It was just like, I wish I would have seen an actual decent match.
Well, here's my thing is like, I never really got the idea of a squash match as making someone else necessarily look that much better. Like seeing 9 seconds of Brock Lesnar in action versus maybe 5 minutes of Brock Lesnar just being a badass dominant, but actually having a real match.
Suplex City at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
That was a great piece of history where John Cena had one move, the FU. Other than that, it was Brock Lesnar dominating for 5, maybe 10 minutes, and that was it.
See, that's a good squash match.
Right.
But this 9 seconds, of course, it doesn't do Kofi any favors.
No.
But I also feel like it doesn't showcase Brock Lesnar to anybody. Like, anybody who's new, like a football dad, which, judging by the intro to SmackDown now, it's absolutely tiered towards football dads. Some football dad just seeing this big guy, he's not going to be impressed by this 9 seconds. It just doesn't, it's not good. Not good.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It bothered me a lot just because it was such a great reign with Kofi Kingston. And, and I've actually been a huge fan of Kofi Kingston. In fact, I called it, we called it, we said Royal Rumble last year that Kofi Kingston will be in the main event.
That's right.
And he'll win the world title.
Yeah.
We didn't know against who at that point, but we knew he would win the world championship at WrestleMania. So we called that. But yeah, it was interesting. The whole Cain Velasquez thing, it was rushed. It was almost like, and this is actually where WWE, I think, is actually making AEW better. They keep generating awareness. As far as these moves of having like NXT go to USA, people automatically thought, oh, they're doing that because of AEW, which they are.
Right.
They're not outright admitting it, but they are.
You draw that connection.
Right, exactly. And they're all these things, and you see like Jake Hager, and all of a sudden you see Cain Velasquez. Yeah. It's like WWE's been on the defensive. And the most recent thing was they want to move NXT from Full Sail. They want to make it a traveling show. And why is that? Because they want to, as far as everyone's seeing these, everyone's seeing AEW trucks going all over the week. They want NXT trucks out there as well too. So everything WWE's doing is in defense, and they're actually making AEW look a lot better. AEW, what they just need to do is remain humble. They keep saying, hey, we're in competition with ourselves. But they're in competition with WWE.
Oh, for sure.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And they know that. That's the whole thing. It's like they just got to keep being humble, and they will be successful. But again, those things I mentioned, like the exclusivity, kind of the whole, Kylie Ray's sudden departure, and just having weird things like not utilizing all your resources. Like they had Kenny Omega on a dark match.
Oh, really?
That didn't make any sense to me why Kenny Omega would be in a dark match. But again, spend more time with this. Like, you could have had Darby Allin versus Jimmy Havoc have a good match and not have it be for anything.
Yeah.
But it was for something. It was for their AEW World Championship. And to me, it's like it's taken away from the current storyline between Cody and Jericho. And then also, it's just how did they deserve that match? Yeah, they sort of gave it to anyone. It's like that doesn't make any sense, right? You want to add some as far as integrity to the title. So those are things that's got to tweak on the back end.
Sure.
But you're right. I think that they've scooped up a demographic where wrestling fans are hungry. They want to see just some really good wrestling. Give us promos; those help out matches. But we need to see some wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just rewinds.
Yeah.
But no, I think, dude, CM Punk as a general manager, that would have been like the cherry on the cake. He could have made some AEW money. WWE's going to still take him down the road. Yeah. He could have like a non-wrestling contract with AEW. It would have been perfect. But I mean, I don't know. At this point, it sounds like Fox has basically hired him to be a correspondent.
Yeah.
And,
how about that?
That's the thing is like, it's one of those where it's like Triple H is acting like, well, he's doing that thing with Fox and, the door is always open to talk and stuff. No, this is kind of a way is like inching closer and closer.
Yeah.
CM Punk, and I've said this before, they all come back. Yeah. Bret Hart came back. Shawn Michaels came back. Stone Cold came back. Here we are.
Could be.
CM Punk. Yeah. He will. He will come back at some point. If nothing else, WWE is going to blank check him and say, listen, we'll pay for everything for your kids, for your grandkids. Come back and have the moment you want.
It's looking real close.
There you
now.
go.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to make their way for that. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, it makes sense. It's smart. I mean, even if maybe Triple H isn't happy about the situation, because I could totally see that he's, I can imagine that he's rankled. His brow's furrowing even more than usual at this situation. But he knows that's good business, and he knows that they can get their hooks in him again. Maybe he'll do a crown jewel match.
A CM Punk versus Hulk Hogan.
Oh, golly. Yeah, Hulk Hogan.
Wouldn't that be a great match? CM Punk versus Hulk Hogan.
But no, Hulk Hogan was, recent interview hinting at one more match. I guess he, claiming that he regrets, his last match being in TNA, which maybe I can understand that.
Well, I mean, it was like it was a 6-man. I think it was with Abyss and Flair was in it too. And who I forgot myself, but I don't know. I mean, who would his final match be against?
No, I mean, that's the thing. You couldn't do it against Flair. That'd just be a
what they ought to do is here's what they should have done. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, 10 years ago, I think it was about 10 years ago. Yeah. Hogan and Flair got together and did a tour. It was an international tour where they're wrestling. And I guess they wrestled in Australia. And it was like apparently one of the worst matches people ever saw. So it was Hogan versus Flair as like the main card. And it was this type of like traveling thing around. It was only international though. It was never in the States. So it was just a way to, garner some money. But no, it never worked out really well. But I don't know. Personally, what I want to see is the WrestleMania 25 match we should have got. That would have been Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Hulk Hogan.
That would have been something.
Problem is Hogan wants to go over. Wants to go over, and I think he needs to like not go over. And I think if you're going to have as far as like some type of pinnacle in wrestling, and which it seems to be Stone Cold Steve Austin is still, Hogan could put Stone Cold over. But I don't know. Even Hogan he always wants to go over, and I think his final match out, he's going to go over.
He's such a politician. I'm sure he wouldn't have it any other way. He just wouldn't agree to it unless he went over.
But yeah, it's I'll tell you what, I honestly it's one of those where I've got some strong feelings against Hulk Hogan now. Before it was one of those where it's like, well, he's just doing what's best for business, and you can't blame someone for trying to make money. But with these sort of recent things that have come to light, it's just I don't really like him as a person.
Right.
So again, I can't get behind this whole Hulk Hogan Hulkamaniac thing anymore. And I used to. Right? I mean, I'm an 80s baby, right?
Sure. No, I understand. We've all got the nostalgia.
Yeah.
But would we really even want to see Hulk Hogan wrestle again? I mean, really? Like,
well, he wouldn't want to do the leg drop probably.
Yeah.
I mean, he's mentioned like that's like the whole thing. Like if he could go back, he would do something like a sleeper hold instead.
I see.
He had mentioned that like in some interview, but yeah, he as far as doing the leg drop, like that's why he's had like 10 different like surgeries to replace his hip and back and among other things.
I just feel it's done. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if I'd want Hogan to come back. I mean, not just because of his racist toxicness, just. He's just old as shit. I'm sorry. Like you're retired. Just stay retired. Just
Well, to me, it's the former you mentioned because it's like I don't want to see you because of those things. Like if you're old and you still want to give it one more match, I'm like, so what? Let him do it. Like if Ric Flair wants to be in a hardcore match and he's 60 years old, let him do it. It's nuts. You tell him everything ahead of time. Like, listen, you know how crazy this is, right?
Right.
You know how nuts this is, right? This is what you want to do. You want to die in the ring? All right. Hey, it's your life. Okay. If they know that, sure. But like, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if they want to wrestle one more match, I'm fine with that, especially with the quote unquote former Babe Ruth of wrestling, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Who now is seen as the Babe Ruth of wrestling. But like that's the thing. If he wanted to, great. But like because of those things, because of who these recent things came to light, I don't want to go on this whole cancel culture thing, but I also I don't want to promote him. You want to keep him on the peripheral in the background or something. Hall of Fame speech is great. That's fine, whatever. But like in terms of the limelight, making a WrestleMania kind of like as far as a back end main event match, no. I don't want to promote that.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that promoted. Anyway, but it's going to be heck. I mean, here's the thing. We were talking about this a couple months ago. Like, fall has been just a wild time for wrestling. I mentioned before, you got, of course, you've got Friday Night SmackDown, you got Wednesday Night NXT, you got AEW Wednesday nights, Dynamite, you got Monday Night Raw. And then on top of that, you got the NWA Power Hour. You got to check that out if you haven't. Just go to YouTube, folks. NWA Power Hour. It's really cool. You have all this like great wrestling going on right now. And it's it's great. I think that when you have more competition, obviously, anytime you expand a product, it makes it better. And it's better for the fans.
Yeah.
It's better for the wrestlers. They're getting paid. And it's just a great time. And it creates more jobs, too. Think about it from a technical aspect.
Yeah.
With AEW, you have many more, men and women working. That's always a good thing.
Sure.
Right? So it's always a good thing to have more competition. So it's been a wild time here in this fall so far. But I'll tell you what, overall, I've been enjoying wrestling recently. I think that with the main event finishes, specifically with WWE, have called into question a few things.
Yeah, really.
Again, the whole Kofi thing was maddening. This should have been an actual match. And then, of course, the follow-up with Cain Velasquez, we'll see. The draft is coming up. In fact, they could do something where Brock Lesnar's on SmackDown, suddenly Cain Velasquez is on Raw. Well, I guess we can't have the match after all. Like, what? That'd be the biggest bait and switch ever, right?
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. But what else? Anything else you got, Josh?
Just thanks again for subscribing. Spread the word so we can get more subscribers into the next year that we do this. Year 2 of JJTW.
1 year down.
Yeah, 1 year down, 100 more to go.
That's right.
And but help us spread the word. We're trying to reach that 100 subscriber goal still. We've got 43 beautiful people who are supporting us.
Yeah.
But we always want more. Tell your friends, tell your dog, tell your mailman. Leave us a like, leave us a comment. Follow us on Instagram. We're on Twitter. Send us an email at joshandjoshtalkwrestling@gmail.com. Send us your questions. Yes, to the hot box. Thanks again.
All right, be good to each other. Chill out.
Have a good night.